6 of Deadly Drugs series. I am reading the book Deadly Medicines and Organized Crime: How Big Pharma Has Corrupted Healthcare. This is Kadal Amudam from Chennai, India. Insider trading of drug company stocks. Here is an example. In 2006, the FDA introduced new labeling regulations, but after the 5-year period of comments had expired, the agency quietly added a new section that would make it virtually impossible for patients to file liability claims against the companies when the patients had been harmed by the drugs. In 2009, In 2009, 9 FDA scientists wrote to President Obama about widespread corruption in the FDA at the highest levels, including several commissioners. The scientists were frustrated and outraged and gave many examples of the corruption, which they described as systematic and violating the law. They noted that there was an atmosphere in FDA in which the honest employee feared the dishonest employee, and that senior officials had suppressed or altered scientific or technological findings and conclusions, had abused their power and authority, and had engaged in illegal retaliation against those who spoke out. While I was at FDA, drug reviewers were clearly told not to question drug companies and that our job was to approve drugs. If we asked questions that could delay or prevent a drug approval, which of course was our job as drug reviewers, management would reprimand us, reassign us, hold secret meetings about us, and worse. Obviously, in such an environment, people will self-censor. After FDA management learned I had gone to Congress about certain issues, I found my office had been entered and my computers physically tampered with. I saw strange cursor movements on my computer when I was just sitting on my desk reading that I suspected I was evidence of spying. The threats, however, can be much worse than prison. Our manager threatened my children, who had just turned 4 and 7 years old, and in one large staff meeting, I was referred to as saboteur. Based on other things that happened and were said, I was afraid that I could be killed for talking to Congress and criminal investigators. About 50 years ago, Henry Welch, chief of FDA's antibiotics division, collected more than $250,000 in private fees from companies while he was certifying the efficacy and safety of their antibiotics. In 2008, the vice president of the Italian drug agency, Pasqualino Rossi, one of Italy's most senior representatives at the EMA, was arrested. 6 drug company lobbyists were also arrested, and the case concerned alleged falsification of clinical data in return for cash, revealed by wiretapping and covert cameras. The prosecutor said the corruption had resulted in concealment of life-threatening harms of the drug. This is the first case I am coming across somebody being arrested in the whole of this book. So far, no one has been arrested. Only the companies will be penalized some small amounts which they can pay it off and just keep walking. Internal documents from Pfizer show that UK psychiatrist Stuart Montgomery deliberately avoided to inform the drug regulator for which he worked that he also worked for Pfizer at the same time. He advised Pfizer about how the regulators are reasoned in relation to its application for sertraline, Zoloft, and what the company should do in order to get the drug approved. The drug industry also contributes handsomely to political campaigns, and most of the money go to the Republican. Between 1998 and 2006, the industry spent $1.2 billion on lobbying and political contributions, and in 1994, the Republicans attempted to eliminate the FDA altogether and let the drug industry regulate itself. Politicians have consistently pushed the FDA in this direction. For example, in the 1990s, President Clinton urged the FDA leaders to trust industry as partners, not adversaries. Taxpayers don't write the tax laws, but in considerable measure, drug companies write the drug regulations. Adding insult to injury, the US Supreme Court has decided that patients harmed by an FDA approved device cannot sue the company. Transcatheter aortic valve implementation (TAVI) offered hope to patients too old or too ill for conventional aortic valve replacement operations, and since its introduction 40,000 implantations have been done. However, it is very costly, and the effect was thrown into doubt by follow-up study authorized by the FDA, in which more patients died when given the TAVI instead of standard therapy. This trial remains unpublished, and when the independent researchers asked for access, they were rebuffed by the FDA and the study sponsor. This complete lack of respect for the patients, some of whom died because they were treated with an inferior device, is unbelievable. This is the end of part 6 of Dangerous Drug series. Kindly subscribe to this channel so that you can view more of this nature in the coming days. This is very depressing book to read. However, I am doing my level best to keep you informed. This is Kadal Amudam from Chennai signing off. Good day to you.